We are live. What's going on, everybody? I'm your boy Q here for another episode of the I Hate Football podcast. Appreciate you guys joining me tonight and joining me here on the pod tonight, man. I got two good friends of mine, man. Some guys I've been able to get together here with recently and create some content with, man. One of my buddies, the first one I'm going to introduce, is somebody who I've known for over 30 years. I've been on his pod a bunch, same way as he's been on mine. So got my boy Will from the 305 Sports Now podcast. What's going on, homie?
What's up, brother? How's it going, man? How you doing?
All is good, brother. All is good, man. Anytime you get to be Florida State, man, it's a good week. Definitely a good week.
It definitely is. It definitely is.
And joining us tonight, first time on the pod, is my boy AD. We go, boy Adrian from the Rainey podcast. What's going on, bro?
What's happening? Oh, perfect name of a show, especially when you're a Dolphin fan right now. So I just want to say I appreciate you having me on because I hate football right now. NFL football, at least.
Bro, that's why when people ask me like, "Yo, where'd you come up with the name?" You know what I mean? I'm like, let me tell you how this goes. All right.
Yeah.
For a really long time, I've been really, really, really stressed out, really unhappy with football coming into the season, right? I've had some good seasons, just haven't won, the ultimate prize. And for the various reasons, man, it just makes it so that I find myself, throughout the season, man, just saying, God, I hate football so much. And and before you know it, you just name your podcast after that, and it's kind of call it a day, man. So everybody good?
Sticks. Oh yeah.
Appreciate it, bro.
Happy man. I ain't really worried about the Dolphins. I already knew they was gonna be trash, but we got some Canes over here, man, and they looking good. They looking good. I'd say that for sure.
So that's my boy. That's my boy from Miami, Hugo, right there, talking trash. Yeah, leave it up to people who you grew up with, man. That, hit you with the first comment right outside. Hey, but I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. I'll take it. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. But yeah, man. Hey, listen, it's a Victory Monday, man. It's a Victory Monday, and as the banner shows right there, Miami 28, FSU 22 in Tallahassee, and man, I don't know that. That it's, it looked the way we wanted it to look, or the way we expected it to look kind of come into the game, right? But
well, it did.
But nonetheless, man, the game was won, 2 straight. And man, it's a Victory Monday, man. It's a Victory Monday. And I think I've heard a lot of the commentary from a lot of different people, the national people, the Miami people, varying levels of excitement, right? Varying levels of contentness, I guess, right? And and so man, we're just here to break it down, man. Just here to break it down. And again, I feel like from the Miami perspective, there's a lot more doom and gloom. And then when you it's funny because the national perspective seems to be more positive, right? And so we're gonna break it all down, man. We're gonna break it all down. And the way we're going to start it off is we're going to start off with the good and then go to the bad and the ugly, right? Kind of break it all down. Luckily today, for the sake of this pod, there's a lot more good than there is bad, a lot more good than there is ugly. So my boy Chuck, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you tuning in. Said he sent it to a couple of chats. So appreciate you tuning in, brother. Appreciate the support. But yeah, man, let's start off with a good, man. Start off with a good and let's go with the obvious, right? You win 28-22, right? Road game, primetime game in Tallahassee, right? Your biggest rival. Obviously, to me it is, right? I think I've heard a lot of people on different pods say Florida. I can't co-sign that. They play Florida State every year. They only play, they play Florida. They kind of go on streaks of where they play them. And now, Florida's not even scheduled for the foreseeable future, so again, I think for a lot of reasons, I think Florida State is the biggest rival. So, again, man, you go on the road, you beat your biggest rival in a primetime game, hostile environment, stay undefeated, number 2 in the country when the polls come out. I just, you can't ask for a better result, by and large.
Yeah, man. I thought great game. Obviously, we're gonna talk about the bad and the ugly, but man, Carson Beck looked so good in that game, man. And they were trying. Their defense was trying, but I told y'all on the show last week. I was like, I don't think they're ready for a team like this. Like they haven't played a team like this, and it showed, man. At least for the first 3 quarters. But Malachi Tony, man, this dude. I mean, and he's only going to get better. People like don't even realize, like nationally, they don't even realize how young this dude is. Like, and he's that good already. Like that's something great to look forward to in the future. Then you got CJ Daniels balling out. Our tight ends actually caught some passes. I was happy about that. Yeah, and then the defense, man, pretty much shut down their offense for most of the game, which was great to see. Like our defensive line looked like they were men playing boys for most of that game. So I really appreciated that. But overall, it's a win, right? You beat a top 20 team. That's our 3rd ranked opponent we done beat. And the good thing about it is still in the top 4. That's where you want to be. It don't matter if you're number 1 right now at all. So number 2 is fine right now. We'll take number 2 right now. But just keep winning, baby. That's it.
Well, what you got, bro?
Yeah, for me, the good, man. Complimentary football, man. Complimentary football. Both defense and offense looked really good on Saturday night, especially the first 3 quarters all together. We talked about it last week on the show that Carson Beck was going to be the major key to this game. Florida State basically played a bare defense. They had a 4-4 set for almost most of the game, including even adding a 9th guy, and Beck just torched them. The one-on-one mismatches that they had with CJ Daniels and Malachi Tony made some of those DBs are veterans. Okay, they've been playing college football for 2-3 seasons. This kid just graduated, went to prom, and took him to school. All right, pretty much for that entire game. It was literally his coming out party. They say the Notre Dame game. No. I think the Florida State game was his coming out party, where he showed absolutely not just how reliable he is on offense, but how much of a second gear he has when he's in space, how deadly he could be as well. So that's the thing, right? The offense, basically, okay, fine. You want to stack the box? You're going to have one-on-one. We're going to torch you. Carson Beck, 4 touchdown passes. It got to a point where Beck, for most of the game, had more touchdown passes than FSU had points. On the defensive side of the ball, over 40 pressures. Ruben May counts for 11 of them. He was double-teamed, held for most of the game, and he still got home. This team is absolutely deadly. I just want to say, I'm going to stick with the good. The national guys, usually the national guys give Miami a hard time. They've been praising Miami because they understand that this is a team that's on a mission. It's complimentary. The local guys, I want you guys to put this in perspective. Miami, we'll get into the bad and stuff like that, but Miami did take the foot off the gas a little bit on both sides of the ball in the 4th quarter. I would say the offense affected defense a bit more in that regard. But think of it this way. Florida State put up 31 points on Alabama. They were averaging over 53 points a game. They scored a lot of points on the road against Virginia, 36 points if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. You held them to 200 yards for 3 quarters, 3 points for 3 quarters, and they still only scored 22 points. Okay. The worst defensive performance for Miami was in 1 quarter, right? The entire season. This team is absolutely legit. Like Flo said on his show, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. The only team Miami has to worry about is what they see in the mirror right now. If you get ready for the playoffs or anybody altogether, Miami is a team like last year on offense. Pick your poison. Florida State last year flipped the strategies. They had a too high set to keep Cam Ward from throwing into the end zone. They succeeded, but what happened? Martinez ran all over them. Okay, this year was the flip side. They stacked the box, and what happened? Beck threw for 4 touchdown passes. this team, if this team could get things together, clean some things up, they're going to be unstoppable for the foreseeable future this season.
Yeah, man. Look, we'll start up top, right? And you know, you guys hit on a couple really good points, man. First and foremost, right, the offense. When you talk about the offense, you know, you start with the signal caller. You start with Carson Beck, right? 20 for 27, 240 yards, 4 touchdowns, right? And I believe those were his numbers. 241, 20 for 27, 241, 4 touchdowns. You know, 89.1 QBR, right? I mean, listen. For the people that were doubting, you know, Carson Beck before the season, you know, I think we've got a pretty good idea, you know, that a lot of those people that were criticizing, a lot of those people that were forecasting, you know, Beck, you know, going back to, you know, falling into some hole because of who he broke up with or because of the injury, whatever the case may be. I think that ship has sailed, right? If it hadn't sailed previously, it definitely sailed, you know, after, you know, this past game. You know, there's something to be said for, you know, something that I think maybe outside of South Florida wasn't getting a lot of attention was the fact that, you know, Carson Beck, you know, had played in rain for the first 4 games, right? Every single game there was rain in Miami, right? I was there for that Notre Dame game. It poured plenty. And if you watch all the other games, you know, prior to this FSU game, you know, having been played in Miami, you know, every single game had elements to it, and, you know, and it was rain, not the greatest elements, you know, to play quarterback. But, you know, there again, you know, Florida State decided that, hey, we're going to take away the run, you know, and for good reason, right? I mean, that's probably, you know, the route I would have gone if I was Tony White, the DC of Florida State, right? And my big thing the entire week was leading up to the game and now after the game is, you know, you kind of think of it as a pitcher, right? You know, who's you know, they dominate with a fastball, right? And what are you going to do when they figured out your fastball? Okay, you're going to come up with a different pitch, right? And the offense was able to do that, right? Carson Beck, you know, and didn't go crazy, right? Then Florida State threw the ball like 45 times. You know, Carson Beck threw the ball 27 times, right? Sacked 1 time, right? And so when you're looking at, you know, the way the offense looked, definitely had a different look than it did the previous 4 weeks, right? Because we have been so run heavy in the previous weeks that a lot of people, I think, were still wondering, okay, do they have the ability to do that? Do they have the ability to actually win with a pass? And I think, you know, the answer was a resounding yes, right? I think against Florida, they came out throwing the ball. But they kind of, as the game went on, they resorted to the run. Now you look at Saturday, and listen, the run wasn't working, right? I mean, you look at 32 carries for 98 yards, right? Definitely not what I expected. But if you look at the system, and then the strategy that they decided to take against Miami, you know, I mean, hats off to them, right? Hats off to them because they were able to keep Miami 100 yards. I can't imagine that happens again the rest of the season. And listen, it worked. But, you know, what didn't work is leaving those DBs on an island against Malachi Toney and against CJ Daniels specifically, right? Carson Beck picked them apart, right? Explosive plays, you know, long touchdown passes. And, you know, again, they were able to go to their second pitch, you know, which was the pass. And not only did they win with it consistently, all right, 20 for 27, it is like 73% or something like that, but also explosive plays. And again, you have 4 touchdown throws, right? No picks. I mean, nothing close to pick, nothing turnover worthy by any stretch. And so, you know, again, hats off to him, hats off to Dawson, you know, the OC at Miami, for being able, you know, to go to his, you know, to probably his not preferred, you know, way of running this offense under Mario and still come out with a victory.
Yeah. Remember we were talking about FSU doing a flea flicker?
Yeah.
Were y'all just like cracking up when you seen Miami do it?
It really, I was
oh,
we talked about that, didn't we?
I loved it,
yeah.
and it worked.
I love it.
Yeah.
No, 100%, man. Look, this was, and look, for a lot of these people, man, who I hear, you know, even before the season started, and I had that conversation with several people, you know, the Shannon Dawson, you know, haters and the detractors and the whole deal, man. I mean, look, he continues to prove that, you know, he is, you know, he is really good at his job, right? However it is you want to rank, you know, offensive coordinators and this and that, man. It's up to everybody to decide, you know, who it is they want to put where and the whole deal, you know, that's fine. But I think at the end of the day, you have to give credit to Shannon Dawson. You have to give credit to the offensive staff, to the game plan they put together. Because again, man, in previous years, right, this could have gone differently, right? You take away the run, right, which is their preferred way to run this offense, and make them switch to predominantly pass, and they probably don't win the game. Again, if you would have told me before the game started 32 carries for 98 yards and they were going to win the game, I don't know that I would have taken that bet, to be totally honest with you. But that's the way it went, and they were able to get through it, and really for the majority of the game, it wasn't close. It really wasn't close, right? So again, man, you look around at what it is he did, man. This is why you go out and get a Carson Beck, right? For a game like this, for an atmosphere like this, that the guy didn't blink, right? They were doing close-ups on him, as he was sitting there, kind of surveying the field right before, his pre-snap, and he looked calm as could be. Right? He looked calm, he looked chill, he looked like he was just kind of taking everything in, seeing what the defense was giving him, and he went about his business. Like I said, didn't throw, didn't turn the ball over, didn't come close to turning the ball over, and just operated the offense really, really efficient.
Yeah, the thing with Beck and Dawson is that Dawson seems to do very well with his quarterbacks. He has a good relationship historically with every single guy, every single signal caller that he's ever worked with. I'm not sure about the one he had from his first season here, because he was very quiet.
You better not say that name. Don't say that name.
No, I won't, and I don't know either, because he was very quiet. He didn't say anything at all.
Don't you dare!
I won't say it. But I'm saying he was very quiet, and you guys know what I'm talking about, and no one knows what he was thinking. But anyways, bottom line is that Cam Moore loved him. You can make a case he made Cam Moore the first round pick, as well. Again, Geno Smith as well. Tanner Mordecai, I think, as well. All these other guys that he's ever worked with, they enjoy him. Luke Nickel, signed, sealed, delivered because of Shannon Dawson. Okay, as well. Darian Coleman, signed, sealed, delivered because of Shannon Dawson. So Shannon Dawson is not just a good signal caller; he's also a good relationship builder, and he's also a good recruiter as well. So, and like I've said, on your show, Q, and I've said on my show as well, you also have to look at the resume, and also the people that give their endorsement of you. Everybody that I've heard from, they all that like Shannon, some of the legends of college football or work with legends, they all love him. Hal Mummy you can make the case he's the founder of the modern offense, okay, with the air raid as well. Dana Holgerson, Mike Leach, Manny Matsakis as well. They all have high praise for Shannon Dawson. So I think that, the way things are going, he may not be here next year because he's been eyed for several head coaching jobs, but hopefully he is. But I do think that we have a good one, man. And I think that that he called a very good game. He called the right plays at the right time, and we're seeing the fruits of his labor out on the football field.
Yeah, definitely. Did y'all see? I wanted to ask y'all about this because he was all over the field that night on Saturday night. Michael
Irvin. Bro, he's a maniac, bro.
He's fantastic, man.
Michael Irvin's a maniac.
How much energy does this guy have, bro? It's like he's still in college.
Do you remember last year in the Cal game when during the comeback, and he had that big, U-shirt, and he had the long sleeves, and now he got like in a doggy position?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were giving him a lot of shit for that right there.
Yeah, man. But you know what, man? That's what you want, dude. I was talking to a coworker of mine who went to Florida, and he said that's what he wishes Florida was. Guys that played for that school that have that kind of passion, that they've had great NFL careers, but they always come back and they want to be on the sideline for every game, not just because it's fun or they get perks, but they also talk to the players. They're motivators. They're good for the team. And I think the University of Miami is one of the few, if not the only university that kind of has that, because I haven't seen like any other players get like that, for any other school. I mean, Q, you live out in Georgia. I don't know if there's any Bulldogs that do that, but I mean, Mike's everywhere, and Mike's on television because of that reason, because he's always doing that,
And he's a dog too.
He is.
Yeah. Yeah. To be honest with you, man, I don't know the University of Georgia to be, to be that type of school. I'm not I think the other things was different schools have different rules about who and where and all this other stuff and so we you're correct in the sense that, man, they have a hell of a fraternity when it comes to when it comes to former players. Man, you see those guys and I think it was lacking, and I think we know what coaches, right, are kind of in that in that sentiment, right. I think there was a lot of in previous years and some previous head coaches, guys that didn't really gravitate to that, right? Didn't really gravitate towards, having those guys at practice, having those guys on the sideline at home games and everything like that. But I think,
Soft.
I've never understood that, especially at a school, like Miami, with the alumni they have and the whole deal, and guys who are some of the greats to ever do it, and guys who are not only the College Hall of Fame and the NFL Hall of Fame. Those are guys that if I were the head coach, I know I would want, at practice, I would want on the sidelines of games. I think, anytime you can get, studs like that, right, in the ears of your players, I think it only benefits you. I think it can only benefit recruiting. I think all that stuff, man, is just stuff that can really, only help you. And I've never understood why previous coaches didn't really, just cultivate those type of relationships and have those guys be present and around their players and everything. I've never understood it, but I don't know. I've never seen, again, you get it. Like I saw it at Florida State. I mean, there were guys that were there, right? Darnell Dockett was there. Dalvin Cook was there. Man, that's one of those names. If you're a Miami fan, bro, you definitely hate to hear that name. Not only should he have gone to Miami, but then he went to Florida State and absolutely terrorized Miami. But I mean, I think certain schools do kind of gravitate towards that, but I don't know that in terms of what I've seen, that schools have done it more than Miami has, or don't really embrace that former player culture like Miami does. So definitely cool to see that. Definitely cool to see Adrian James and Mike and all these dudes on the sideline, man. Like I said, I think it's great, man, and it only helps things. Got question here. Mark, I want to lose this. Yeah, Beast. Yeah, we're definitely going to get to that because trust me, we're doing the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is definitely part of the later part of the show. Part of the show of the stuff that it definitely is going to fall in the ugly category. Trust me, that's in my notes, and that's obviously something we are going to talk about. My brother chiming in right here. What up, dog? You guys concerned with the way you close that game again? That will be part of the of discussion that comes also in the ugly category. That no
the FSU fan.
The FSU fan, exactly.
Remember?
Yeah,
he's an FSU fan.
Oh man, that must be fun watching the games with him.
Yeah, oh my goodness, bro. It's it's not fun when Florida State beats Miami. I can tell you that. So yeah, man. Man. So listen, moving on to the defense, man. A lot to like on the good. When it comes to defense, man. I think when you're looking at what we did like about it, right? Essentially, with the exception of the first drive, right? And even though they gave up, Florida State went down the field quick. Listen, they gave up a field goal. You had to be happy with that, given how Florida State moved the ball down the field. With the exception of that first drive and the fourth quarter, I think you looked at the defense and were extremely, extremely happy, right? I mean, you look at, the fact that, they pressured Castellanos. He dropped back 45 times. They pressured him 43% of the time. And that's an insane number. Ruben Bain by himself had 11 pressures, which is crazy. They ran 24 more plays. Florida State ran 24 more plays than Miami, even though Miami still outpaced them in time of possession by just a little bit. But Florida State ran 24 more plays, right? When you're looking at, the turnover battle. Miami won the turnover battle. Obviously, they with 2 picks and a fumble recovery. Man, I think just a lot to like. On the defensive side of the ball, and I think when you look at maybe what you didn't like, I think a lot of it was aided by the defense. A lot of it was really aided by Miami's offense, right? With just their inability to really do anything, right? Basically going three and out. That really put Miami's defense in a bad position. But when you look at what it is Florida State's defense had done coming into this game, the points it had put up, the yardage it had put up, just the amount of plays they were running. I mean, they were basically running. They ran Kent State and East Texas A&M. Obviously, not good teams, not Power 4 teams. But what they had done to those guys, I mean, obviously nothing to sneeze at. I think me included, coming into the game, I definitely was concerned. Obviously, when you look at what Castellanos is doing, the offense as a whole, the speed that those guys have, the trickery with Gus Malzahn and everything, I think you had to be concerned. But I think through 3 quarters, you had to really be happy with what this defense did.
Yeah, and the defensive line did its thing, man, for sure. But how about Jacoby Thomas? What a game he had, man. He was all over the field. Like, that was great to see, obviously. I know you said you mentioned last week Torrey.
Yeah, Torrey, the middle linebacker, number 1.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and then Thomas is the one that was just, I mean, what do you have? A sack, a forced fumble, a pick, and tackle for loss. Right, he only had like 4 tackles, but come on.
He balled out. He straight up balled out. Like, it's no joke how good he balled out.
Trying to see how many tackles
I have it here.
So he had 5 tackles, 5 solo tackles. Had a sack, which is big. Tackle for loss, 2 passes defended. He played. I mean, he balled out, man. That's 100% been. You can make the case that he's probably been out. Again, aside from Beck, obviously as a quarterback, but especially on defense, he's for sure been the most impactful addition to that defense.
Yeah, going back a little bit to some of the things that we talked about and the good side of the defense, and even though I'm gonna pretty much put some sugar in this lemonade a little bit, although we gave up 19 points in the 4th quarter. Got to give a little bit of credit to Castellanos. He extended a lot of those plays where most of the quarterbacks would have been sacked throughout the process as well. So, I mean, they were in his face all throughout the entire comeback. It was not easy for him. I think it was I forgot who was calling the game. It was Kirk Herbstreit, right?
Herbstreit and Fowler.
Yeah,
Herbstreit and Fowler were on the call.
Yeah, Herbstreit said that he's going to need an ice bath after the game of how much of a beating Castellanos was taking. So, I mean, it's concerning the way that the FSU came back, but also most quarterbacks don't come out of there successful against the Miami defense. They would have gotten sacked or they would have had to throw the ball away because it was just too much of a ferocious pass rush.
Yeah, no, I think, and I've heard a lot of people, praising Castellanos and everything, man. Look, this will be the toughest QB matchup Miami will have the entire year, right? When you look at the way that kid moves, if you give him time to throw the ball also, I mean, he could throw it, right?
Yeah, he has some dots.
Listen, man, against Virginia, he played really well. Against Alabama, obviously he played really well. I think he only completed like 9 passes against Alabama because they just ran the ball up and down on Alabama. But listen, this is a guy who, if you give him time, I mean, he can beat you. He can beat you down the field. Obviously, throwing Deuce Robinson, Mekhi Danzy, obviously a kid who's a bullet. I think he's one of the fastest 400-meter times in the world. This year, and I mean, obviously the kid flies. So Florida State's got some guys outside, that can beat you one-on-one, and you got a quarterback that can get you the ball when you do so. And again, man, he's just a guy, with the speed and mobility, man, who's tough to corral. And again, you have to give that defense credit, man. You have to give them credit, for the way they played, for the way they kept that offense, to their lowest totals, really across the board, everything from, yards per play and and the whole deal. They outgained Miami, but essentially, again, I mean, that was, that was all fourth quarter, right? And like you talked about, up until the fourth quarter, Carson Beck had more touchdown passes than they had points, right? So, I mean, again, by and large, this performance on defense, was definitely one that you should be proud of for sure if you're a Miami fan.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree.
Same.
Yeah, man. They, again, for whatever you expected the defense to be, for whatever you hope they would be, for whatever projections people have for them, again, man, I think I don't know if I speak for everybody, but they've definitely exceeded my expectations, without a doubt.
And I think I think a lot of people putting too much on that fourth quarter also. Like they're like underestimating how good Castellanos really is. That dude was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, bro, pretty much. That's gonna tire a defense out. I don't care what defense it is. And what he did in the fourth quarter, man, he was running wild. Running wild, brother. I'm telling you.
No, yeah, and I think you look at what those ends did. Coming in, it was Mesidor and Bain. They each played 76 snaps, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a lot. That's a lot of run. I think that their highest total coming into the game, I think, was like right at 50, or it was something crazy. And so it's probably a good idea they're getting this bye week now, even though, before the season started, we were looking at the schedule, and saying, man, this, these 2 bye weeks right here, kind of almost back to back are a terrible idea. Again, man, but credit to the staff, right? Because, we've seen what not only the Mario coaching staff, but, some of these previous coaching staffs, right? Rick, Diaz, the whole deal, after bye weeks, they had not been good, right? And so when you look at, where this bye week came in terms of, pre FSU and now, post FSU, hopefully, going in that Louisville game, man, they're going to take advantage, clean up some things, and get right, even though, again, I think by and large, they're healthy. I hadn't heard any real update on anybody who, who wasn't already hurt. JoJo and Jordan Lyle both played. They didn't play a lot, but they were both healthy and they played. And so, again, man, I think all in all, when you're looking at, the good outweighing the bad, that's just one more thing you can add to it, man. The health that they lead Tallahassee with, it can't be understated. Especially some of these positions, maybe like D tackle that we were, kind of calling the depth into question. Especially really, I think the safety room has proven that, there's no reason to worry there with Jacoby Thomas and Bryce Fitzgerald, but the D tackle position, I think late in the game they had Armando Blunt, playing the 3 technique, which again, ideally you probably don't want him doing. So you really have to wonder, okay, what's going on there? I think Moulton went down kind of early. I could have sworn he came back in, and I haven't heard anything.
He did come back in.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard anything of him, not being healthy or anything like that. But again, I don't want Armando Blunt playing a whole bunch of D tackle if I can help it as the season goes along.
Definitely. We getting into the bad now?
Let's get into some of the bad. Because again, was there more good? Was there more good? Yes, 100%, and we're thankful for that. Again, 28-22, they get the dub, right? So not complaining, right? But definitely some things that I would like to see. Or let's start at the top. All right, what I have for bad, right? Let's start off on offense, like we've been doing. The 98 yards on 32 carries. Hats off to the Florida State defense. I think their plan worked, right? They accomplished what they wanted to accomplish in terms of the ground game, right? I don't know that we'll see, this Miami team shut down like this, on the ground for the rest of the season. At least I hope not. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to imagine we'll see it again. But again, when you talk about 98 yards on 32 carries, and then add to that 22 of that came on one run from Keelan Marion. So that's even crazier when you consider you take away that run and that carry, right? I mean, what are you looking at? 31 carries for 76 yards? That's bad. That's really bad, right? And so, again, we go back to not having your fastball, being able to pivot, and change things up and still being able to win the game. So obviously not thrilled about that. Not thrilled about, to being held to less than 100 yards on the ground, and obviously that yards per carry is atrocious. And then add to that they went 5 for 14 on third down when coming into the game. They were right at 50%. So and against good defenses, right? When you look at Notre Dame, when you look at Florida, when you look at USF being a pretty good defense that shut down Florida in the swamp. So they I think all in all, obviously that's where I would start with the bad for sure. My brother chimed in and said O-line didn't look impressive like they had going into that game. No, and without a doubt, I wouldn't push back on that. I wouldn't push back on that one single bit. But at the same time, you look at it, Darryl Jackson played his ass off, right? Darryl Jackson played really, really well, and he showed up. I think you're looking at what they did, and like Will mentioned, man, when you look at the way they stacked the box, I mean, let's not pretend, that Florida State doesn't have some talent, not so much at the linebacker position per se, but that on the D line, you got some dudes. Kevin Wynn is going to be a dude who's probably going to be an all ACC type of guy. The Sear guys I think are going to be good. The twins that they got on there, Darryl Jackson is really good, and so I think they had a good system to stop that run, and they accomplished what they set out to do. They just couldn't do the same thing on the back end, but they performed way better than I would have expected than I would have expected them to perform coming into that game.
Yeah. Not only that, you can only block so many people. I mean, you have 5 guys in the offensive line, maybe the tight end as well. You have 8 guys in the box, 9 guys.
It becomes math at that point. Probably,
yeah. Right? So that's pretty much what happened. That's why they got torched in the passing game, and they got torched on both vertical and horizontally. So I mean, I understand where Will's coming from, but I also think that eventually you could be freaking, George St. Pierre, who's the best fighter in the world, but you got 3-4 guys coming at you. It makes it a little tougher to knock everybody out at the same time. So that's pretty much, I think, what happened to our O-line. Our O-line, 5 guys, maybe a tight end adding 6. And then you have, of course, 8, 9 guys in the box rushing. I mean, somebody's going to get through and make a tackle. And Florida State does not have a bad defense. Collectively, they're not bad. What we said last week is that they don't have that stud that stands out on the D-line like a Patrick Payton. But collectively, they're not bad. Earl Little is a very good football player. A lot of people wanted that young man when he came out of high school.
Everybody
Alabama got him,
including Miami.
Yeah, and he said no. And he's a legacy as well. He would have been a legacy as well.
Earl Little played at Miami, so
yeah. So I mean, it was. But again, you pick your poison. Last year they went too high. Florida State claimed we're the only team that didn't allow Cam Ward to throw a touchdown pass on us. He did catch one on you though. But you got run over by Dave Martinez and Mark Fletcher. This year, you flipped the script. You went 8 in the box. You stopped our running game, but Beck torched you. So, and that's the thing. You have a team that complements itself. If the running game doesn't have its fastball, like you said, we'll throw the curveball, and that's a deep pass. So that's pretty much what happened during the game.
Yeah, just like my boy Chuck says right here, man. Beck looked comfortable back there, and listen, it's crazy, and that's why I say, I mean, this is why you go and get him, right? This is a guy who didn't flinch, right? He didn't worry about, oh man, the running game's not there. What am I going to do? He just, Shannon Dawson and him, were dialed in, and they saw what they had on the outside, and they took advantage of it, right? You had a guy in Malachi Toney who, whose day was, super impressive. First game he had, who went over 100 yards, which was kind of surprising to me because I thought he had done it already. But, first game over 100 yards, and his day would have looked even better if that BS. Now I say BS on I think it was Keelan Marion, if I'm not mistaken, who had the illegal shift. And you hate it for the offense, you hate it for Malachi Toney because at the end of the day that it didn't affect anything, right? I mean that so that's why I say the offense the call I should say was BS. But again, I get it. He did it, and it is what it is. But that took another explosive play off the board, right? Which that would have put him closer to 200 yards. Had that play stood. So again, man, when you look at what the passing game did, getting the tight ends involved like they did, C.J. Daniels scoring 2 touchdowns, so on and so forth, man. I think you have to be really, really happy. You got to be happy with Shannon Dawson. You got to be happy with Carson Beck. Malachi Tony continuing to do his thing and look like the best, freshman in the country. And just listen, man. Again, for people who don't know or don't remember, I mean, this kid is an early enrollee, reclassified, freshman who should be still a senior in high school, right? So you just have to, you just have to give the kid credit. Continue to be impressed by what he's doing. Continuing to give credit to the staff, for trusting the kid, to go out there and do what he's done, man. I mean, it's super.
It's only going to get better.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it's only going to get better.
For with 5 games under his belt and what you just project from him moving forward, man, sky's the limit for this kid, man. You just have to be super excited for what he's shown so far.
Absolutely.
Little baby Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, bro, doing differently, right? Because remember last year, Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, right, at Alabama, those guys are I think more explosive, than I think a Malachi Tony
Jeremiah Smith is bigger, right? And he's yeah, big boy.
I believe he's got a driver's license.
He should.
Does he even drive?
Bro, I can't imagine that guy's got to drive, very many places at this point. I mean, he's, who knows? But yeah, man, I mean, you look at him, he's got a baby face. When you look at him, he looks like a kid. But obviously, man, a very talented kid and one
plays like a grown man.
Who plays, yeah, man. I mean, he's playing well above his age. Like I was mentioning, man, guys like Coleman from Auburn, who's a stud also. But yeah, definitely does it different than guys like Jeremiah Smith and guys like Ryan Williams. I don't think he's got the, like you look at Jeremiah Smith is a grown man. Jeremiah Smith could play in the NFL right now. Yeah, right now, Jeremiah Smith can play in the NFL. I don't think I would say that for a guy like Malachi Tony. I think he wins differently. He's a guy who, definitely does excel in getting open, but doesn't have that physical nature, to his game, like a guy like, Jeremiah Smith. Ryan Williams, a guy, a contested catch guy. You remember him against Georgia last year, who absolutely just victimized the Georgia cornerbacks last year. So again, definitely a different game than those guys, but still super, super impactful, like a Ryan Williams and like a Jeremiah Smith from their freshman seasons last year on really, really good teams. Obviously, Jeremiah Smith, winning a title with Ohio State, and Ryan Williams, even though they didn't make, they didn't go as far as they usually go. A guy who was, the best offensive player on an Alabama team as a freshman, which is, definitely not easy to do. So, man, I think he's having the same type of impact. I think a guy who's very obviously going to be a freshman All-American. And if he keeps doing what he's doing and this team goes far, who knows what else he'll add to the, to the award list coming.
Yeah, they're gonna get him in that weight room.
Yeah, man. And I think that even he's not like, if you see him, man. I mean, he's not a scrawny, right? You see some pictures of him online, man. I mean, he's all, like you see him and he's posing and everything. I mean, he's
that's why I said Tyreek Hill, because Tyreek, he just a little pocket monster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a little baby 38 or something like that.
Tyreek,
but he got some power.
Tyreek's short, but he's compact. I mean, he's he's built. And this this injury notwithstanding, a guy who I've never really seen Tyreek. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Tyreek being a guy who gets hit and doesn't get up and the whole deal. Like Tyreek, not only with his speed, but obviously a guy who is built a certain way where, he's not a guy who takes, a lot of hits and gets knocked out of games or anything like that. So
he'll get down. He'll get down quick.
My boy Chuck right here said he's, he says he loves a little Tyreek comparison. Definitely shifted in Ryan and Jeremiah. I mean, listen, it just depends on, what you want to, what you want in your receiver, man. I think I don't know. Jeremiah is as shifty as he is just straight line. You know, he's a long strider, right? And a guy who, you know, is just strong and he wins with strength and speed.
Yeah.
I don't think he's super shifty. Ryan,
a hell of a route runner, though. If you look at his high school, he's a hell of a route runner, though.
Yeah, very good route runner,
bro.
Yeah,
super strong hands, goes up and gets it, right? As a guy who high points the ball and everything. And you know, Ryan Williams, you look at not as tall as you know, Jeremiah, but a guy who is a contested catch guy, a guy with, I think, deceptive speed. I don't know that he's a 4.2 guy or you know, anything like that, like a guy like Mekhi Danzy. You know, but definitely a guy who is able to get down the field and is able to win with speed for sure.
I like the Ty Hilton.
Yeah,
I agree.
I like the Ty Hilton comparison
on that one.
Yeah. Let's see what this one right here is. Let's see, Tony was saying about. Yeah, I could see it. I think. You know, I think Malachi Tony is probably further along earlier in his career, right? That I think T.Y. Hilton was a guy that I think, you know, really blew up kind of towards that's what got him drafted, right? From FIU, is a guy who, you know, really kind of blew up his I guess it was a senior year. But you know, definitely, you know, I can see that comparison, you know, based on the way they move and the height and the whole deal. I can definitely see, you know, again, even though I think Tony's, you know, more, you know, is more successful earlier in his career, but I could definitely see Malachi Tony, you know, compared to, you know, T.Y. when he was with the Colts. So yeah, I have no trouble believing that one right there, Beast. That's a good call right there. So my brother's saying right here, are these NIL deals year to year? The majority of
contract they
sign. Yeah, the majority of them, from what I understand, are. The majority of them, from what I understand, are. Then there's, you know, you're able to negotiate them year to year. You know, hence some of the crazy
smart business.
Yeah. Also, some of these crazy transfer decisions. You know, a guy like Nico trying to, you know, renegotiate like during the playoff and everything like that, which is wild to me. But, you know, yeah, they're from what I know, the majority of them, again, it just depends on what you and your representation are able to negotiate. Mm-hmm. But the majority of them, from what I understand, are year to year. And then, you know, he follows it up with, you know, he might need to rework his deal in the offseason.
Listen, bro, it'll be all right.
I would venture to guess that whatever it is that he decides to ask for, they're going to be hard pressed not to give it to him after the kind of freshman season he's having. So hopefully it's not too crazy. But yeah, I would imagine that he's going to be well compensated, you know, come the off season. So we'll see how it goes. Get this last one before we move on to the ugly real quick, and it's from Bees Ohio State. They're the best of developing receivers. I knew this move would be good. Listen, not to go off on not to go super left because of the topic of conversation. I don't want to get too deep into this particular topic right here. Well, the only thing I would tell you, and obviously you guys can chime in, you know, here after I'm done, but I would tell you that I'm going to push back on that. Jeremiah Smith was going to be Jeremiah Smith at Kent State or Ohio State, at East Texas A&M, or at Florida Memorial. Like there was going to be no scenario where Jeremiah Smith wasn't going to be elite, right? So to me,
Ohio State is good at developing receivers.
Well, no, yeah, really listen,
good.
Okay, I mean, what are we calling development though, right? Because again, Carnell Tate was a 5-star kid, right? Carnell Tate was a 5-star kid, right? And he's still really good right now, right? And so,
yeah,
you know,
nobody bats 1,000, but
yeah,
they got a good ratio coming out of there. Good.
They do. Chris Olave was a highly recruited kid. He's really good. Emeka Buka was a highly recruited kid. He's really
and
good.
Jigba.
Yeah, right. But how about a guy like Brandon Innes? Right? A guy who was a 5-star. I don't think he was a consensus 5-star, but he was a 5-star coming out of Miami by most services. Right? Went to Ohio State, and I think he's caught like 5 passes this year. Right? And so
they can't all be first round picks.
Exactly. But to me, again, that's where I would kind of push back in that these guys were going to be. I think they were going to be stars wherever they went. And so that's kind of where, again, what are we calling development, right? They're going to, they're going to Ohio State, surrounded by, elite, talent everywhere on the field, and then they're good, and then they go on and they become, high round draft picks, right? And so I don't know how much development that is necessarily. I think development is up for discussion and up for debate. But there again, they attract great receivers, and they put receivers in the NFL without a doubt. You can't push back on that one. So
yeah.
So my brother,
I would say they're not coming out of high school and then NFL ready though.
No.
So they're going to Ohio State and
I just
developing into great receivers.
Yeah, 100%.
Regardless, I think the tie will change. A lot of the receivers that left last year, they were Manny Diaz guys, with the exception of Wilson, Jacoby George, Xavier Restrepo, who overachieved, if you were looking from a perspective, as well. And so now you're really going to see Mario's wide receivers, and I think we're starting to see, as young freshmen, the talent that these guys have. Joshua Moore is going to be a stud. He's in that.
No, 100%.
Yeah, Malachi Tony is heavy on his years.
I can't wait to see what he does next year. Hope he transfers.
Should we get JoJo Trader a catch, please? What is going on?
JoJo Trader has to handle business before before he can really figure in anything, bro. Like I want to see him succeed too. I want to see him succeed too, but I think that's something. The good thing this year with the receiving core is that we're not missing anything with him not playing, right? This is a guy who was projected to be their wide receiver 1, and we know in past years what that would have meant. But they haven't, they've been good. Now we don't know what we've missed with him just because he really hasn't played, right? He didn't play a lot last year, hasn't played a lot this year. I think he would elevate the wide receiver room. I think he'd bring an element that's not there, currently. But at the same time, look at what they've done without him, right? They're undefeated. The receiving core has looked good with CJ Daniels and Malachi Tony, pacing it. And now, again, it'd be another talented dude, to add to the room. But at the same time, he's got to be healthy, and then second, he's got to, from everything you hear, he just got to get some good practice reps under his belt and do what he's got to do in order to play. But I heard somebody mention is like, okay, who do you stop giving reps to, right? Keelan Marion, right? Keelan Marion's played well, right? I mean, a guy like Tony Johnson, when he's gotten his reps, I mean, he's played well, right? And so, again, there's talented dudes that haven't seen the field. JoJo hasn't seen the field. Chance Robinson hasn't seen the field. Nye Carr hasn't seen the field, right? These are all guys that were highly recruited dudes, not as much as JoJo, but you've got talent, sitting on the bench. Right. Same thing at running back. Gerard Pringle is a guy who, who hasn't seen the field, who's a highly recruited kid. Right. And so on and so forth. And so, listen, that's what happens on, on good teams is there's only so many people you can play. And, and that's how it goes. Those guys have to wait their turn. And listen, if the offseason comes and they show that they don't want to be patient, or that they want to transfer, they want to get more money somewhere else, then, hey, man, look, you bid them farewell, and that's really all you can do. But, you go with who's showing you that they deserve the reps, and everybody else, man, you wait your turn, bro. That's how it goes. So, this is a Tony.
I was definitely being very sarcastic about that. I hope you know that, because it don't we're not missing anything from what I'm saying, from him. So.
Yeah.
It's just all that hype, and then womp womp womp. Exactly. That's all we got from. That's all we get from JoJo.
Exactly. So this is what my boy Chuck says right here, man. This is the Tony. Hopefully, man. Listen, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. That listen, at this point, not only what Beard has done with the receiving core, But what they're doing in the Shannon Dawson offense, man, I don't know what else they have to prove at this point. To show that this should be an attractive wide receiver destination. When you look at what they did last year, listen, they had the number 1 offense in the country without a single wide receiver drafted, right? They had Elijah Royal drafted at tight end, but not a single wide receiver drafted. Jacoby George didn't get drafted. Restrepo didn't get drafted. Sammy Brown didn't get, or I'm sorry, was it
Sam Brown? Yeah.
Sam Brown, yeah. Sam Brown didn't get drafted, right? Elijah Royal got drafted, right? Martinez got taken in the 7th round for, whether you think that's not whether you think that was just or not, it is what it is, and it was what it was. So, again, man, when you look at what they've done with this offense, when you look at, without top tier, draft picks, I don't know what else you have to do to make this an attractive destination for receivers and running backs, and linemen, and the whole deal.
Coaching.
That's
like
it.
Fantastic coaching down here.
100%. You're getting good coaching. You're putting up numbers. And again, listen, and Will can attest to this. I said this the entire offseason. This offense and the receiver specifically were all going to be replaced by somebody that was more talented than they were, bar none. I said that for X. I said that for Jacoby George. I said it for Sam Brown. I said it for all those guys. The receiving core this year was going. The only thing they weren't going to be is more experienced, but they were definitely going to be more talented. And again, you see it with CJ Dan, you see it with Malachi Toney, and so again, man, I think there's enough resume there that they should not be having trouble. And you're seeing it with the receivers they have, committed. They've got some legit receivers committed at this point. Van Spafford and Samorian Wingo and so on and so forth. And so, man, you're going to continue to get talent. I think you're going to continue to get talent, especially given what type of season that hope they're going to continue to have. I don't think bringing talent into that room is going to be a problem moving forward. So. You guys got anything else now? It says Joe Trader can get on the field because other receivers are balling out. We find out. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Beast. I'm literally what we were just talking about, man. Listen, you wait your turn, right? If you're not able to get on the field, then listen. You look at what the offense is doing right now, the numbers they're putting up, and the way they're playing. I don't think there's any reason to wonder, oh, what if? Listen, when he gets on the field, he'll get on the field. And hopefully he takes advantage of his opportunities. But, again, I heard somebody mention the other day, like, who are you taking reps away from, to give to JoJo, right? He's got to be healthy. What they say, man, your best ability is availability. And if he's not available.
He got to show that he can take reps away from somebody in practice anyway.
100%. It doesn't matter how high, how big a recruit you were and what people were projecting from you. Like if you can't show up in practice and do your thing, then you can't take advantage of your reps. Then you're gonna have to wait your turn, bro. That's how it goes.
Yeah, straight up.
So
we'll just keep on winning.
Yeah, man. Let's get to this one last thing and then move on to the ugly. What does Beast here says? Competition means you get hurt or don't practice hard. You might get replaced just that quickly. That's how it goes. Georgia's the Ohio State, Alabama. Yeah. I think you're hitting it on the head right there, man. That's how it goes, right? Listen, like I just said, man, your best ability is availability. And this garbage about you can't lose your job due to injury, that sentiment went out the window a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's not how it goes anymore. If you don't play, if you're not healthy enough to play, somebody else is going to take your position, especially now with dudes getting paid in the whole deal. You can forget about playing if you're going to be hurt continuously and not be available and everything, somebody else is going to take your place. I mean, they're going to justify their price tag. So you better know what you're doing. You better keep yourself healthy. You better keep yourself available, because if not then then you're not going to play, and people are going to move on, man. To me, I've always said there's about a 2 season window now with NIL. If you haven't contributed after year 2, I think the school and you as the player should be looking at alternative measures.
Sometimes after the first year.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the person. But to me, I'm in favor of, again, man, look, if 2 seasons have gone by and you haven't contributed, then again, I think you really need to look at at something, whether it's moving on, whatever, and the school needs to also, man, because with the money involved now, you can't afford to just keep people on the on the roster where you're paying them, large sums of money, to sit on the bench. Even now with rev share and the whole deal, man, like, again, you can't afford it. You can't afford to just be spending money on dudes if they're not playing. So, again, 2 seasons, you haven't contributed, I think on for most people, right, I think it's probably time to, hey, it's been fun, and go ahead and look for another destination. Again, I think some exceptions exist without a doubt, but I think by and large, if you're not right on the precipice of contributing, during or after year 2, man, I really think it's it could be time for you to start looking at other options for you. So, it's kind of the way I think about that. So, real quick, my boy, it's another one of my boys right there, man. Like, I've known for over 30 years right there. So
big ass fish.
It's a big old fish right there, bro. Big old fish. So, man, look, let's move on to the last our last little segment right here, man, and let's look at the ugly. And I think some people have already, chimed in and kind of beat us to the punch a little bit, even though it's really obvious, given what type of game it was, what it was we were gonna discuss come ugly, right? And I think when you're looking at the very obvious, place to start, man, you have to look at the fourth quarter, basically checking out, man. And again, you have to like what you saw for the first 3 quarters, right? I think there were some people that were probably nervous that they were seeing a Falcons Patriots Super Bowl, down 28-3, and the Patriots starting to make their moves. Hopefully, I'm not causing PTSD for any of my Falcons fans, but yeah, man, 28-3 going into the fourth quarter. You got to like what you were seeing. I definitely was a fan of the way things were going. Fourth quarter started and things changed, right? And I think, not only, let's go with the very obvious, right, which obviously 28-3 ends up 28-22. But, we'll wrap up with that. But definitely one of the big things, to discuss is before we get into that, the penalties. And I think that was ugly, right? 13 penalties, 114 yards. That was the most on both ends of that in 2 years. All right. So definitely for everything we've liked, right, as fans during the season, I don't think it's nitpicking, right? Because I think certain things you can kind of call the question and be like, it's not that bad. Penalties will get you beat, right? Penalties will get you beat. And what helped them and what saved them was the fact that they had such a big lead, and they were able to overcome some of the penalties, right? I think some of the penalties, I didn't agree with some of them. Right. But, I think, again, it is what it is. Some of them were a little, some of them, I think were nitpicky. Some of them, like I said, I didn't really agree with, like, the intentional grounding one, for example, from Carson Beck, I think was one that was kind of BS in my opinion. Just so things like that. But again, regardless, 13 penalties, 114 yards. I would think that is right there at the very top of the ugly category and stuff that I think moving forward has to be cleaned up if they want to go where they think they can go. What do you say, Will?
No, I agree. I think the penalties was the ugliest part of it as well. The costliest one to me was the whole Keelan Marion one where he got the procedural penalty and that cost us a touchdown. I think that kind of would have made it a little less likely that you get somewhat of an FSU comeback because that changes the dynamic of the play calling for Florida State. So for me, they got to clean things up. Coach Cristobal spoke with Joe Rose in the morning, and Joe Rose, to his credit, brought up the whole conservative play calling thing. And he says, according to him, he said they really didn't change anything in the offense as far as play calling goes. It was just more like a lack of execution as well. That's not what we saw. We saw the fact that, it looked like they took the gas off a little bit, for example, they stopped going more horizontally, which was kind of killing Florida State. That's how they got a couple touchdowns in the game. But nonetheless, I think that would be the bad for me. What would be bad was the fact they kind of like, I think they took the foot off the gas a little too early. But the ugly with me is the penalties, because you're right, penalties get you beat. Third and 2 becomes 3rd and 7, becomes 3rd and 12. Losses of downs, it costs you touchdowns as well, or big plays, and I think that kind of hurt. That's something they really need to clean up, because I think it's the second time this season, or third, that they've been a little high in the penalty count.
Yeah, they were high against Florida too. They had a lot of penalties against Florida. Again, luckily it hasn't come back to beat them. But I think winning teams, are not committing double-digit turnovers, in big games, right? Again, you get a penalty here, penalty there. You expect it. I know against Florida, like I said, some procedural stuff, right? Some people I think they were talking about they were simulating the snap and the whole deal, which caused them some issues and everything. But again, man, to get where they want to go, and in a closer game, this amount of penalties will definitely get you beat. That's some of the stuff that has to, without a doubt, be addressed. They have to get more disciplined. Some of the stuff, again, you can call into question. I think the targeting was by Dylan Day, I think was a little bit questionable. Some of the stuff, again, I think you can call into question. But again, nonetheless, man, 13 penalties, a lot of yards, and something they without a doubt have to get cleaned up. What do you think? What do you think, AD?
I think definitely the penalties. I agree with that for sure. That's probably the ugliest part. But the running game, to me, like possessing the ball, especially in the fourth quarter, if we had any like semblance of a running game, then we could have, like, Florida State wouldn't have had the ball that much to go down and score 19 points, that doing what they were doing in the fourth quarter. So I think the running game, because we've leaned on the running game heavy this season, and for us to not be able to go to that in the fourth quarter with that big a lead, it kind of disappointed me. Because I didn't, after you seen, man, it was what, 3-and-out, 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 after we had stopped them like 7 times in a row. It's like, come on, guys, let's go. But that was probably what like disappointed me the most. But the penalties is definitely the ugliest part. I agree with you guys. That running game though, fourth quarter, you gotta go. You gotta pound that rock, man.
Yeah, and listen, man, we moved past the very obvious, the penalties, man, and just again, not only was the running game, not working, the entire game, but also, look, come fourth quarter. Listen, I don't understand why you go away from what's giving you that lead, right? And you didn't really make it. Again, if you're Miami, you're not really hiding your intentions, right? I think we know what they want to lean on, right? But at the same time, it goes back to the old adage, right? Take what the defense gives you, and the defense was giving you the pass the entire game, right? So I don't understand why, if we got to the fourth quarter with a 28-3 lead through the air, then why all of a sudden we're going to take the air out of the ball and now just keep going, just keep running it into the teeth of the defense. So that's kind of where, you're looking at, one of the things that I think also with the penalties, I think the thing that you have to call into question too, and it's not a new narrative, right? It's not anything that we haven't heard before. It's, that killer instinct that I think the staff has to develop, and going for the jugular, right? And just keep on pouring it on, to these guys, right? Again, you got there through the air, keep throwing the ball. I think keep putting the pressure on the defense. If they're crowding the line of scrimmage, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, right? And so why all of a sudden now are we going to go and try to be like, okay, we're just going to, run up the middle, punt. All right, run up the middle, punt, right? And so, again, man, I feel like that's something that has to get cleaned up, as the season goes on, and not be afraid to challenge the defense, man. I think, you were in a position where, Beck, was not, putting the ball in harm's way. The receivers were getting open, we're getting downfield, causing explosive plays. Then why change that? Again, I just, I don't get it. I don't understand, why you go away from that. And I think moving forward, if they go where they want to go, I think against even better defenses, you're gonna have to stick to to what got you there. If it's the pass, then embrace that and keep throwing the damn ball.
Yeah. What I don't understand is last year they had the killer instinct. Even though they were behind a lot, Cam Ward in that offense, they slaughtered teams when they had the opportunity. I mean, the biggest beatdown they gave an ACC team was Wake Forest. If I could recall, they poured it on Wake Forest. That year prior to the Syracuse game, and they were going to humiliate Syracuse even more as well until Syracuse made that comeback because their defense just sucked so badly last season. So I for the life of me, I don't understand why they roll back a little bit, because Carson Beck's proven he's capable. And I don't know if it's the experience of the receivers. I don't know if they respect the defense too much. I really don't know. But last year, that they did not lack a killer instinct. As a matter of fact, I'll go even further. The A&M game, the famous phrase, by Shannon Dawson that he allegedly told Mario, "We're gonna end this mother effer right now." Supposedly Shannon Dawson said that. He said, and that. I mean, I don't understand why they just, they didn't continue that in the fourth quarter. It's your rival, man. You want to embarrass them in their home field. I just don't know why we just didn't try to do that towards the end.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm right there with you, man, for sure. Like I said, I kind of keep going back to that. Go with what got you there. Don't change it up all of a sudden. Again, I think they got too cautious, and they were really successful through the air. Why not keep that going? Now, again, I get maybe not wanting to, go 30, 40 yards down the field, right? If it's there, I think you should take it anyway. Maybe change it up in terms of something a little bit more of the check down variety and 5 to 7 yards down the field or whatever. But again, man, guys were getting open. He was 20, he went 20 of 27. Right, he's again something like 72, 73%. Right, so again, no turnover worthy throws. Right, so on and so forth. Man, there's a lot to like about the passing game, and they just shouldn't have gone away from it, in my opinion. And then come into the game where what? Hey, now let's go conservative. Let's kick a field goal. Now they decide to go for it. And now listen, he was open. I think it was Malachi Tony who was open. Carson Beck just overthrew him.
Yeah, he was pressured though in that situation.
Yeah, he was 100%. He was pressured, right? But again, to me, and I don't remember what the field goal would have been at that point. I don't think it, would have been automatic by any stretch. But but you kick the field goal with Carter Davis, who's been really good this year. Now you go up at that point. I think you go up 9 points. You feel a lot better because it makes it 2 possessions, and you basically sealed it at that point. So you want them to be a little bit more aggressive, but then now when you were aggressive when you probably shouldn't have been. You probably should have kicked the field goal. It's probably the safer option, but there it is, man. I mean, look, you go with you go with the results, and they won it, at the end of the day. But definitely some stuff that I would definitely like to see, some other stuff that I would like to see cleaned up. My brother asked, what does success look like for this program this season, ACC championship and a deep playoff run? Yeah, I think both of those things are part of what would, constitute a successful season, especially when you look at the fact that Clemson is down, right? I mean, who else are you looking at in the ACC? Florida State, was better than last year. I mean, we'll see, what happens, but they've already got two ACC losses, so I don't, could they recover and make an ACC title game? I mean, maybe. Right. But, if things kind of keep playing out the way they're playing out, I mean, you're looking at a possible, again, if Miami handles business, everybody else does too. Right now, the top of the ACC is like, Virginia and
Georgia
Tech, Louisville, maybe. Oh, no, they have an ACC loss. So who else was it? I think, I don't know, Duke, I don't know, something. Right. But, you're looking at Virginia possibly being there. Again, can't imagine, who knows? Clemson always finds a way to right the ship and get to Charlotte. But again, man, I think success looks like an ACC championship and a D playoff run. Again, given the team, given the quarterback, given what they've showed so far in terms of 3 ranked opponents and looking really good on defense and obviously an offense that that can score. I think the expectation has to be at this point, ACC championship and a deep playoff run. So I don't know if you guys would push back on that.
No, I agree with you. I think it's possible. Both are possible.
Yeah. And then he also asked, ACC isn't as strong, which we talked about. For sure, they're definitely not as strong this year. and Mario doesn't deliver a conference championship this season, I mean, I don't. I definitely listen unless the season were to absolutely, just fall apart, man. I don't think there's any scenario, where Mario's job is in jeopardy. I think, this is a guy
he's gonna be here a while. Seems like
he's a guy who they gave a 10-year deal to. Is a guy who's building, the program the right way. A guy who's, again, you look at the way he's recruiting high school guys. Look at what they're doing, right? Malachi Tony as a freshman, as a true freshman. A guy like Bryce Fitzgerald now on defense, looking at he's going to be, a baller, at the safety position moving forward. They're getting, significant reps, from freshmen, on the defensive line, which is rare. That's a position that's, difficult to make an impact, as a freshman, but based on necessity, I think they're playing, some younger guys, but again, the way they're building, right, the way they've continuously every year, won more games, the way he's recruiting, the way he's using the portal, again, man, I just unless something were just to absolutely, implode, I just don't see any real scenario where Mario's job is in jeopardy or he is on the hot seat here on any level, to be totally honest with you.
No, I don't see that happening anytime soon. I really
yeah.
Definitely not.
Uncle charges all the above, simple possible 90-game appearance. Chuck, I'm not even touching that right there, bro. I'm gonna keep quiet. I'm gonna keep quiet. I want nothing. I want nothing more than that, bro. Like I know, we literally had a conversation earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I feel. I know how you feel. We'll table that talk, till later on in the season, till it's warranted, man. But for now, we'll just, like Mario says, man, 1 week at a time. You go 1-0. And man, if they keep doing that, so we were talking about earlier, man, like literally I was having a conversation with him, because we were talking about, where they're ranked and everything. And I told him, I was like, look, man, I'll be honest with you, the number one ranking is the furthest thing from my mind, especially now, when you look at having a 12-team playoff. Look, all you got to do is keep winning, man. If you're 1-0 every week, everything will take care of itself. And wherever you're ranked, you're ranked. I mean, there's, with the resume to this point, we'll see what some of these teams continue to be. I think Louisville can still be good.
No matter what, you got to beat the team that's in front of you. That's it,
man.
So just beat them.
Look, Notre Dame. We all know Notre Dame is gonna be really good come end of the year. They're gonna end up being, probably a top 10 team before it's all said and done. Florida looks like they're heading in the right direction. So another reason why it was a good week is when you're looking at who you beat. Florida went and beat Texas. Florida State, I think, is still going to be really good. They've already beat Alabama, who's looking really good. Notre Dame, like we mentioned. So, again, man, you're looking at all the teams you played and what's going to happen with them. I think they're going to continue to be really good, and that only bodes well, for Miami moving forward and for their resume, come end of the year. So. We saw that. But yeah, man. What you guys got any other thoughts on that one right there?
I just hate that we gotta wait 2 more weeks.
I know. So does Louisville. That guy's a good play caller, man, and a good schemer. So that's my only worry, man. Giving Brian Baum a little time.
Louisville always play as well.
Jeff Brom is always somebody you have to take seriously, man. I was at Louisville for that game last year. I went up there with my girl. We had a hell of a time in Louisville and watched a hell of a game, because that game definitely took definitely a few weeks off my life without a doubt. It was I think that was a basketball. That was a basketball sport.
That was one of my greatest shorts last year, man. It was so much action.
That was crazy. That was a crazy, crazy game. And they went up and down the field on each other. Like I said, that just shows, man, it was with any semblance of defense, what could have happened last year.
I know.
Louisville was a good time for sure.
Yeah. I know it's getting late, man, but I was watching the highlights of the Virginia game, and it's a breath of fresh air that Miller Moss can't run like Thomas Castellanos.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%, man. Listen, Louisville's got some dudes. Yeah. They got some dudes. Their running backs have not been healthy though. You got some dudes on the outside. You have receiver who are good. Miller Moss has been meh. I don't think he's been as good as I think people thought he was going to be. But that's not a game that I'm taking lightly, to be totally honest with you. That game definitely worries me. It's a good thing that they have to visit Miami, but definitely a game that I think during the bye week they 100% have to focus on and be ready for. Louisville's got a ton of South Florida guys on that team. They've always recruited the area well from Palm Beach down. They've always got a bunch of South Florida dudes on there, and guys that I know are going to want to come back down to Miami Gardens and show them why they should have recruited them a little bit harder. So fully expect
every game's important, bro.
Yeah. No, yeah,
it don't matter.
No, 100%. But listen, but I feel
on any team they'll take you.
I feel a lot better about Stanford than I do about Louisville. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Feel a lot better about Stanford than I do about Louisville, man. You know what I mean?
That's real.
That's I definitely do not push back on any level. That every game matters and they have to take everybody seriously. But Louisville definitely Louisville has my attention. SMU doesn't look that great, but obviously it's a road trip. First time out of Florida, first time out of Florida this season will be November 1st. So something I think that they got to be ready for. But SMU definitely doesn't look the way as impressive as they did last year. But nonetheless, they have to take them seriously for sure. Mm-hmm. So man.
Yeah, there's a lot of tempo. Their quarterback's athletic as well, so you can't.
Oh, Kevin Jennings can play, bro. Kevin Jennings can play. That dude can play. Now again, they lost a lot, during this past off season, to the draft. A lot of guys that played at Miami that transferred there. But again, not they went 8-0 in conference last year, made the ACC title game. So definitely don't expect that from them this year, but definitely still, again, just like every other game on the schedule, man, it's a game they have to take seriously. Every away trip is a business trip, just like it was this past weekend. And man, they again can't take anybody for granted. How we appreciate to see Miami playing great on both sides of the ball, man. Listen. Again, I think it's about balance, and I think we talked about that. I know me and Will did a lot, during the off season, man. It's all you wanted to see when everybody was, kept preaching this thing about, Cam Ward's gone and Carson Beck isn't gonna, and it's what we talked about. He doesn't. Carson Beck never had to be Cam Ward, right? Carson Beck just had to come in and take to the offense, just take what the defense gives him, take advantage of his playmakers. And I think to this point, that's what he's done, right? I mean, he's a couple picks, right, but nothing crazy. Obviously no turnover worthy, throws against Florida State the other day, through 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 73% completion percentage. What else can you want? This is what you brought him here for. Won a big game on the road. And I think moving forward, man, I think he's only going to get more comfortable, him with Dawson and Dawson with him. And I think, I listen, as long as he keeps playing the way he did this past Saturday, I've got no issue with him.
Defense keep playing.
Yep.
Yeah. Great. We'll be 100%,
fine. Man. Defense keeps doing their thing, man. Look, this is I thought they'd be better. I did not think they'd be this good. I'm very, very impressed with Corey Heatherman and the system and what he's got these guys doing, man. Jacoby Thomas, Keontae Scott, Bryce Fitzgerald. The DBs look really good, man. So shout out to Will Harris, Zach Etheridge, man, for the way they've coached those guys up. The D line, with Damian Lewis and Jason Taylor teaming up for the tackles and ends, man. I think they've been really good and disruptive as hell. And so listen, every week that goes by, just another week to get more comfortable in the system. And hopefully, man, they just keep elevating and keep going 1-0 every week, man. If they do that, then I think they will be just fine, man. Complimentary football takes the pressure on one side of the ball. Yeah, I would 100%. And you know where the issues came this past week in the fourth quarter is they weren't complimentary because the offense dropped the damn ball and put the defense in a shitty position. And that's where, again, when you get away from they had been complimentary all the way through, you know, to the beginning of the fourth quarter. But the fourth quarter came, offense stopped doing what they were doing and put the defense in a bad spot, you know, and that's what happened. Wesley Basaint had to turn into, a shortstop out there fielding onside kicks, you know, and luckily he was able to do so, you know, and they won the game, right? I heard somebody, I don't know who it was, like I think it was like Steve Kim or somebody earlier. I heard he like turned into Ozzie Smith out there, and it was like, it is the truth. You know, you put him on the hands team, and you know, and he fielded 2 onside kicks. You know, I definitely did not have that on the old bingo card or on the parlay. You know, that was gonna happen, man. But I'm glad he was there. He fielded those things, and they brought home the win right here. Hey, so AD, look, this is my best friend right here, man. This is actually my daughter's godfather right here. So, so he's become like the biggest Panthers fan ever. He's not too far from the stadium, so he's
those rings with the back-to-back cups on them. Oh
man,
they just got their rings tonight.
Oh, and did they really? Oh, that's right. Tonight was opening night.
No, not tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow was tomorrow.
Tonight they did the ring ceremony, and they got the rings. Boy, them things are fire.
Really?
Fire.
I haven't seen them yet.
Yeah. It says apologize to nobody on the inside of the ring.
Oh, yeah.
Or to no one. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go. I like it. That's definitely that's a Kachuk kind of thing right there, right?
Yeah.
You know, 100%, bro. So yeah, he's become the Panthers aficionado on the chat that we're on right there. So so shout out to my boy Alvin right there. The
shout out.
I think the biggest Panthers fan I know right now. So and he chimed back and he said, "Hell yeah, rings, yeah, man. Listen, back to back, bro. They're the most current, you know, they're the most successful current franchise in South Florida, man.
We are.
You know, here recently, man, the Heat obviously have been the most recent champs. You know, before them. So hopefully the Canes can add to the South Florida trophy case right there. So depends on the Canes spot. Alvin don't play, man. Like I said, he's become the biggest Panthers fan I know, man. So shout out to Alvin. Shout out to the Florida Panthers, man. Going for the 3-peat, gonna be difficult, man. Barkov, you know, possibly missing the entire season. Is that official? Is he missing the whole season?
They did not. No, they don't let you know anything. They'll just put him on long-term IR, and that's it. And they'll let it ride. They don't let you know anything until like after the season.
Yeah, he said he'll be back. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully
he walked up and got his ring 10 days after surgery. He walked up, no crutches, no cane, no nothing. Walked up and got his ring.
That's good. Hopefully that bodes well, man. Hopefully he can be back sometime before the playoffs, and we can have him on the ice, and you know, hopefully bring home that 3-peat, man. That would be a big thing, man, for sure.
I got a question for Adrian, though. So we are talking about the Panthers. Game 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. How long do you think the Panthers get revenge for what they tried doing to Ekblad in this last preseason game?
Oh, I don't know. It might be right off the rip.
Okay.
Like I'm telling you, as soon as puck drop, it might be go time.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, did you see that game the other night? Dude, that was wild.
They tried to unalive him. It's like, you know, slam his head up against the board. Then they started pounding on him. I'm like, dude, like it's preseason.
Yeah, man, that was wild. Preseason. Thank you.
Yeah. That came from the coach. That was a direct from the coach.
Yeah, hey, man, the hate was real.
When you don't like each other, bro, it don't matter if it's preseason or not, man. You know, it's never too early to start the ruckus, bro. Hey, that's it, man. Bro, when I see you, it's on.
It's on site. That's it.
And, you know, when I see you, I'm gonna see you. You know what I mean? Like it's on. So that's it, man. I'm glad to see it, bro. I'm glad to see it. they get started tomorrow, man. So we'll see what they got. Hopefully the Canes can be like the Panthers and bring home a ring to South Florida, man. Like Alvin is saying, man, that would be absolutely amazing to see, because I know it's been way too long, and I think I speak for everybody when I say it's that time, man. We need to make that happen and take advantage of this team right here. So we'll see, man. Hopefully they keep handling their business and do what they got to do, man. So anybody got anything else, man?
Nah, man, that's it, man. I think another week off, get some things corrected, the penalties especially, we'll be fine. I'm not too worried about the Canes, man, to be honest. I think they're gonna be fine.
Yeah, man. I think it's all fixable. I think the penalties obviously not great. It hasn't cost them, which is a good thing. And I think that just kind of is a testament to what they've done, how good they've been. That these penalties, really haven't cost them one in years past, and we saw it just last year, right, where that wasn't the case. So, man, look, if they clean that up, their offense gets a little bit more dialed in, man. I think there's good things ahead for the Canes, and we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, they give us a lot to talk about and give us a lot of content, that we can cover, man. Make things a lot easier. So
cover the Dolphins, bro. You'll have plenty to talk about.
Well, I meant good content. I meant happy content. Not
right.
Not negative content. Not
it's a vent
angry.
session every week,
exactly.
bro.
Yeah,
bro. I see all the people on FTSN, bro. And everybody is angry, bro. Everybody's angry. So I hope it's not that type of content they're giving us anytime soon, if ever. So
I know that's right.
Yeah, man. Fellas, it was a great time, man. Definitely having you guys on, man. Will, for I don't know whichever many times this has been for us over the years. AD, the first of many, hopefully, man. And we'll definitely keep making it happen, and keep getting together and keep talking, everything Canes and everything else we want to talk about, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, without tell
first time.
Yeah,
I
man.
hate football right now anyway, so let's go.
No, it just
NFL,
fits.
NFL football.
That's
NFL.
it. It just fit. Tell tell the people where to find you, bro.
All right, you guys can find me on 305 Sports Now on YouTube. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now on YouTube. I'm also on X under William Padron at 305 Sports Now. Also on Instagram at 305 Sports Now 2020. My Instagram is private though, but if you're like a fan and you have fan page,
so private.
Yeah, I'll
too private.
I'll have you in too private. Dude, all my little all my little students are on IG, bro. Last thing they did was message me, dude, on there, man. So I don't want any problems. So that's why.
I don't blame you.
They're not on X at all, thank God.
There you go. Yeah.
Definitely not on X, but they're all on IG.
Yeah, that's
probably all TikTok. That's probably all TikTok. It's all TikTok.
That's like grown people stuff, man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all TikTok. AD, let them know where to find you, bro.
At Rainy Day Pod on YouTube and all socials, man. Same one. At Rainy Day Pod.
There you go. Rainy Day.
RAINEY.
NEY. Don't forget the E. Don't forget the E. So find us all on X, on IG, getting together with all the people over at FTSN Extra, Bobby Fence talking, the boys over there. A lot of good content from a lot of good people, man. So go on there, man. Like, subscribe to all the shows, and we'll keep bringing you some stuff you enjoy, hopefully. So from my boy AD, from my boy Will, appreciate everybody in the comments. Chuck, Alvin, Carlos, JU, Wilson, my brother, Beast, Carlos, everybody, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all driving with us, man. And we'll get with you guys real soon. Everybody have a good night. Talk to you soon.
You